Hey y'all, welcome to the replay. If you are watching the replay, say hey in the comments. Let me know that you are here. I'm live on Instagram and Facebook and I think YouTube. Um, I wanted to pop in. I talked myself out of doing this live yesterday. I wrote out, had notes, did everything, and I talked myself out of actually having this conversation yesterday when I wanted to have it with you all. But I woke up this morning really feeling like we needed to talk about it. It's important. It's I don't want to add to a lot of what we've already been seeing and hearing across social and on the morning news shows and the talk shows and all of that. But I do want to not miss this opportunity to have this conversation with you about um, using the Oscars situation as an example for all of us, as I don't even want to say a cautionary tale, but just as something that we can take and put in our own pockets and uh, and support us as we are moving through our confidence growth journey. So, if you and I haven't met before, hello, I am Mo James. I am the Audacity activator behind Confidence Coaching for Her. I am the founder of the Confetti Collective, and everything that we do here is designed to support women with activating their audacity, with discovering themselves, with unlearning the things that they've been taught that feel like constraints, and really learning how to design your life with freedom and with ease and with joy in mind. Um, so yeah, like I said, I this isn't going to be a conversation about who was wrong, who was right, Chris, Will, whomever, because I feel like that conversation is the appetizer. That's the that's the elementary school level version of the conversation. And what I want to do is give us the room to pick out the things that we need to take so that we can apply those to our lives going forward. So, I don't know about you all, but I know for me, on Sunday, after I saw, because I had a friend, and I'm checking to make sure I'm not missing any chat conversations. So, I had a friend that had sent me a text after uh, the slap happened. And I went and watched it, and I did not sleep well Sunday night. And I'm a sleeper. Like, if I don't do nothing else, I'm going to get my sleep. Okay? I will shut everything down. I'm going to bed. But I didn't sleep well Sunday night, and it bothered me most of Monday because I didn't really know or really understand why it was nagging at me, right? I wrestled with it um, for most of Monday, and I even thought about updating the latest podcast episode that came out. Some of you all know we have a podcast, Confident Women Glow. It's available on all podcast platforms. The episode that came out this week was about wounds and triggers. And so as I was really wrestling with why is this thing aggravating me so much, I recognized part of what I want to talk to you all about here, and I almost went back to revise or to add more to the podcast episode to make it specifically about what we saw. But I decided not to. So the episode went out as I had already recorded it before the Oscars. But when you listen to it, I'm willing to bet you are going to recognize some things. You're going to recognize some things, which is the whole point, right? I believe that, especially once you decide that you are going to go through your process of uncovering I like to say peeling off the things that you've been taught and really finding what is authentic to you so that you could create that lifestyle, you could have those types of relationships, you could be in those types of environments. Everything in your life 360 degrees will support your evolution. When you start to do that, you will be challenged. We will be challenged to see lessons everywhere. I like to say that life is always trying to teach us stuff. And I realize for me, that's my perspective because I try to see every situation as a mirror. I try to treat situations that happen to me, situations that I witness, situations that I participate in as mirrors. And I am always asking, what is this here to show me? What is this here to teach me? And what I realize is a lot of the conversations that we have been hearing lately about the whole Oscar situation have been viewing the situation as a window. And what I mean by that is it's been about most of the conversations that I've seen. Maybe your news feed has been different. Most of the conversations that I've seen have been about the what. So and so did this, so and so did this, so and so did that. It's been about the what, just what we saw, right? That's seeing it as a window where all of the attention, all of the focus gets put on what the person did. Some of you might be right now thinking about situations that you've been in, experiences that you've had in your past, where you are starting to recognize, as I'm saying this, that you have been putting the focus on what the other person did, or what the people did to you, or what the people said to you. You've been putting everything, you've been telling the story about what happened, what they did, what they said, what they blah, 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 blah. You've been talking about their actions. And I titled this live, When We Don't Understand the Why, We'll Repeat the What. And what I believe we saw between what happened on Sunday with the slap and then the apology that came Monday, I think, or I don't know, the apology that came, we saw a what being repeated. What do I mean? So remember Will Smith, his memoir came out, I don't know how long ago. And in the memoir, he writes about growing up and seeing his father beat his mother. He did several interviews talking about hiding and watching his dad beat on his mom and him doing nothing about it. And he talked about how, as a grown man, he expected, he felt like he had failed her because he didn't intervene, right? He felt in those moments that he had failed his mom because he didn't intervene. And so when that's the story, when that's what you tell yourself, once you've said, I didn't do it then, and you tell yourself, I failed back then, you will do everything in your power to make sure you don't fail the next time. So what happens? Somebody says something that harms the woman he loves, and he intervenes, because what he's not going to do is feel the same way he felt when he was a kid. What he's not going to do is say, I failed to intervene. And so he intervenes. What happens, and we can use the apology that came to really illustrate this. What happened is then he intervened, but then he did the exact thing that he hated seeing his father do. Right? He became the violent person. He did to somebody else what he saw being done to his mother. And in the apology, he says it, he calls it out. He says, violence is unacceptable. It's wrong, blah, 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 blah. Again, we're talking about a situation that happened in somebody else's life But how is this an illustration of something that you have experienced? How is this an illustration of how you may have dedicated a lot of energy to what somebody did and what somebody said and what you felt in those moments, right? Without getting deeper and understanding the why that led to the situation in the first place. Because when you don't understand the why, you run the risk. You become vulnerable to repeating the what. You become vulnerable to keep ending up in situations where, in relationships where you are taken advantage of, or you are cheated on, or people are exploiting you or using you or making you doubt yourself and question yourself, or talking you out of your boundaries. When you don't understand why it's happening, you will repeat the what. When you don't understand that perhaps because you were raised to be responsible and to look after everybody else, that taught you to put other people's needs before yours. And so when you get into relationships with people, whether they're romantic relationships or friendships or work relationships or whatever, because you learned how to put other people's needs before yours, you get into those relationships and you are always the one who is pouring and never being poured into. But if you don't understand why it's happening, you will repeat that pattern until you give yourself permission to understand why. Until you give yourself permission to get to the root of the thing. And you might have to peel off some stuff. You might have to look into some dark corners that you had been pretending didn't exist. You might have to start remembering things that you had committed to forgetting. All because you recognize that you are repeating the what. You worked at this job, and then the people took advantage of you at this job, so you quit. And then you moved to this job and the same thing happened, so you quit that job. And then you went to this job and the same thing happened, so you quit. And then you moved to another state and you started a business, but then your customers and clients did the same thing to you. When you don't understand the why, you will repeat the what. And I believe what we saw was one person, Will, not really understanding why he felt in that moment as a child that he was supposed to intervene, why he felt that he was supposed to step in and do something about it. And that now became the reason, the impetus why he felt now as an adult he had to step in and intervene and protect. And so he ended up repeating the same what that he hated his father for, and then end up with regret and feeling like, damn, I messed that up royally. All of the stuff that now comes on this side of the incident, feeling like you failed, feeling like you messed up, feeling like you regretted, feeling like you just became the very same thing that you hated. Because we don't give ourselves the space. We don't give ourselves the room. We don't give ourselves the permission. We don't find the support to help us uncover the why. Because we think that if we go that deep and if we start investigating, it's going to kill us. We think, I can't possibly ask myself why I keep ending up in relationships where I am cheated on, or I can't possibly ask myself and tell the truth about why every time somebody tells me that they don't want me, I chase them even harder. I can't begin to start to question and investigate why I keep ending up in relationships where I am constantly showing up for people who never show up for me. We think that if we start to ask those questions and start to tell those truths, it's going to take us out. And so we do everything in our power to avoid asking those questions. We do everything we can to stay away from that closet. We do all of that. I'm looking at the comments. Yes, understand the why to avoid repeating the what of the learned behavior, the childhood trauma, the relationship that broke our hearts, the person telling us that we couldn't, why are you dreaming so big? Get your head out of the clouds. If we do not understand the why, we'll keep repeating the what. And the danger of that is we'll tell ourselves that it's our fault. That's the danger of it. Is we say, I'm stupid. I keep letting this happen to me. But the truth of it is, it's not your fault. The truth of it is you learned that. The truth of it is you were taught that. And you borrowed it and allowed it to become your personality. That's the truth. That's the truth. And it's not until we give ourselves the opportunity to understand the why, we will stay in that cycle. Well, this keeps happening. They keep doing me like this. They keep doing me wrong. I keep ending up like this. They keep breaking up with me. They keep cheating on me. They keep taking advantage of me. We'll end up in that repeated cycle all the time, beating ourselves up because we think it's our fault. Telling ourselves that we're defective, that we're broken, that it must be something wrong with us. When the truth is, this was something that we learned. Perhaps it was a coping mechanism that we learned in childhood. Perhaps it was a defense that we put up, a wall that we put up out of protection so that we wouldn't deal with that same situation again, not realizing that we were literally creating the same situation again. So like I said, I wanted to have this conversation in a different way. I didn't want to talk about this in the same way that we've been seeing and hearing people talk about it, because for me, as a woman who is on my own confidence growth journey, and as a woman who supports women who are on their confidence growth journeys, this is an opportunity to use this as a mirror and not simply as a window, literally looking out our curtain saying, I can't believe so-and-so did that. I can't believe this happened, and doing all of that. Instead, we could ask the deeper question. What is this here to teach me about my situation? Because here's the thing. One of the reasons I believe this thing aggravated me so much is because I have been all of them. I have been the person who has had people make hurtful comments about my appearance. I have been the person who has walked into a room and felt like I needed to impress these people. I have also been the person who has punched somebody in the face for saying the wrong thing to me. I'm just telling the truth. And so, because I have been in those shoes, I could not simply judge from this seat when I've been in those seats. And also, I want to make sure that every situation that comes across my doorstep, I pick out the gems for me and put those things in my pocket to make sure that I don't that it's not wasted. That's me. Maybe you feel differently and that's fine. But like I said, I wanted to have this conversation because I wanted us to get what we need from it to support our growth. Teresa says, "Oh, I was already deep enough in brain with trying to figure things out, but watching this now is going to keep me in there looking." That's it. And not be afraid, y'all. Excuse me. I think as women, we spend so much time being afraid. We're afraid to say this. We're afraid to make them mad. We're afraid to say no. We're afraid. We spend a lot of time afraid. Right? And that causes us to stay stuck in places that are harmful. That causes us to stick around in environments that are doing us harm. Because we are afraid to free ourselves. And I'm just done with that. And my hope is that you will get done with it too. So that's what I wanted to share. My 2 cents. If you haven't listened to episode 217 on the Confident Women Goal podcast, I encourage you to listen to it. It's about wounds and triggers. So I'm going to say that, before you go. I want you to, that's what it's about. And yeah, life is always trying to teach us stuff. Life is just, look, like the dominoes, it's just throwing lessons. Just throwing them in front of us all the time. And we get to choose what we're going to stop and look at and pick through and find the gems and take them with us for the rest of the journey. We get to choose. It's a beautiful thing to have freedom. And it's a beautiful thing to have choice. I want you to know that you have a choice. I want you to know what is available to you. So even though initially I had felt like, I don't want to talk about this again, I recognize we needed to talk about it because we're talking about it in a different way. We're not looking at the situation like we are sitting in our favorite chair in the living room and looking out the window at what's happening at the neighbor's house across the street. That's not what we're doing. We are instead allowing this situation to be held up in front of us as a mirror to show us what we need for our journeys. That's what this is about. I am so invested in you all finding every gem that is presented, every gem that is available, so that you can move through this journey, disrupting and interrupting those patterns, interrupting those same what's, flipping that on its head, and creating the life, creating experiences that reflect who you are becoming. That's what I want for you. Teresa in the chat says, looking for a spark and just got struck by lightning listening to you speak this morning. Come on, Teresa. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, it's out here. You're going to have to decide if you're going to go get it for yourself, friend. It's out here. There is nothing that anybody else has that is not also available to you. I'm willing to bet some of those people were afraid to, and they did it anyway. I am willing to bet they were also afraid. They were also exhausted. They were also like, this is bullshit. I'm just keeping it real. Like, that's what I'm certain. And they chose the growth anyway. So if they can do it, you can do it. Cake says, thank you for these gems. You are so welcome. Y'all, we can't just be out here just repeating, just rinsing and repeating stuff. That is not for us. Once we are aware, we don't just be out here. I'm using incorrect grammar for a reason. We don't just be out here repeating patterns unconsciously. We peep game, we see what's going on, and we trust ourselves in making the choices that are right for us. And that's all I got. So I thank y'all for tuning in. I thank you all for being here. I hope you will take what you need from this conversation and apply it. Put that thing in your pocket. Write that thing down in your journal. Put it on a sticky note. Do whatever it is that you need to do. It makes me know, never mind. You have the option. You have the choice to choose. I just hope that you will choose what's in alignment with your evolution and growth. That's what I hope. That's what I pray. That's why I do this. That's why I'm here. Choose what you know you need. Have the courage to interrupt the pattern. Have the courage to dig deep and understand the whys that are behind the whats. It's easy to stop at the what. I feel like stopping at the what is like trying to get full off an appetizer. And I love to eat. So that's like me trying to get full off chips and salsa. No, ma'am. The way my metabolism is set up, I'm going to need some carbs and some protein and a little vegetables on the side. So I am going to have to go deeper. Because I want this thing to satisfy me. I want this thing to support me beyond this moment. So it's going to need to have some weight. I can have the superficial conversation that doesn't support me on my journey. But if I'm going to get in it, then I'm going to make sure that what I get out of it, I'm going to be able to carry with me for the long term. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate you for being a part of this community. Thank you for your comments. If you're watching this on the replay and you get some takeaways, I would love to hear them. I will update the caption on Facebook and YouTube with the link to the latest episode of the Confident Women Glow podcast, because it directly ties into what we're talking about. It directly ties into what we're talking about. If you don't know that you have a wound, you won't recognize that you also have a trigger. And because you don't recognize that you have the trigger, you will repeat the what. Because you don't understand the why. And understanding the why is where the growth and the confidence and the glow up resides. So thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you. If you need support, if you need community, if you need whatever to get through this journey that you are on of self-discovery, of unlearning, of redesigning your life, that's what we are here to do. It's available. You get to choose it. Choose. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll catch you later.